Hello, I'm Dave Shipper, and today I'm doing a songwriting conversation with Erik Kjelland. So Erik, how are you doing during the pandemic? I always like to get that out of the way. I want to see, are you healthy over there, Erik?
You know, ironically, my family is the healthiest we have ever been. Just being isolated. I think we have a lot of, we're susceptible to illness. We've got three younger kids, and they always bring home sickness from school. So not being in school since whatever, February,
Yeah.
ironically, and not seeing anybody else and then being very careful, we've been, knock on wood, extremely healthy. So
So
relative.
where are you exactly? I picture you out of the Madison area, but that's a
That's
big area.
exactly it. Yeah, we are on the exactly dead west side of Madison. So,
Oh,
yeah, right in town.
in Madison itself, not in one of the suburbs.
Correct.
I
Yeah,
have a family in, I think, Oregon. I think
sure.
that's a suburb, probably.
Yeah, south of. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, cool. You, your Comatose 233 was an immediate favorite of mine. I loved it because you had I go to bed with my wife, who usually comes to bed at 2:33, wakes me up, and then I'm wide awake and comatose
Oh
at
man.
2:33.
Wow.
So, do you have a story behind that song, or where did that song come from?
You know, I think I wrote it right before probably the quarantine started. And I don't know that I was really knowing that I was getting nervous or not. You know, I don't think I knew that all our shows are going to be canceled this year, and that musically speaking, things were going to be very different this year. But I think just in general, like my creative process for songwriting and beyond songwriting, recording, releasing albums, all the after the song is written stuff. I just have this process that I always need to have a project to work on. So I guess that's a good thing, and I follow through on all those things. I like to get the album out. I like to do that and then start all over again. But the problem with my brain is it's always running. There's always restless things. So I think I get nervous when I don't have a project, and when I do have a project, very easy for me to go to bed at a normal time at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then with something on my head, some piece of a song that I was mixing or writing or whatever, the album release, whatever, the quarantine with the Facebook streams and all these things just always in my head with things to do, because I don't like to be idle musically, creatively speaking. And I think that's what happened. I remember very specifically that night that I started writing that song. It was exactly 2:33. I woke up in the morning and it was like things in my head. Oh, I can't sleep, and am I nervous? Should I be working on something right now? Should I try to go back to sleep, or am I just pointless? Should I just stay up and write something? So I remember like grabbing my phone and jotting a couple lyrics down in an email to myself, and probably the chorus or one of the verses or something. Just here I am. It's literal. It's 2:33, and I'm not sleeping right now, and so, and I should be doing something, of course.
Of course, you
Uh,
should be.
I'm not sleeping. I should be working. But
And you mentioned you had kids in the family. Of course, you would want. I thought maybe that's a normal time for you to wake up and do your work.
no, thankfully, no. They've always been really good at, well, except when they were younger. It was always hard to, of course, keep them in bed, but we've always had pretty normal sleep patterns, I think, around here. It's just my sleeping habits just are weird when I have these ideas in my head or random projects to work on.
That's wonderful. Um, and I figured there must have been a story when it was 2:33. You just don't make up a number like that.
It's pretty specific, right?
Pretty
It's what I put in my email to myself, so it must have been what it was. Plus, it sang pretty well too, I guess.
yeah.
Maybe 2:35 doesn't sing as well. I don't know.
Um, then you took the video, not for us, and made that video. You did that just as a group to keep your music alive, I assume.
Yeah, so that song ended up being one of four songs I ended up releasing. Stuck in quarantine, it was just like maybe I should release an album. Why not, right? We're not going anywhere. And normally I'm not a solo artist. I have my band, The Mascot Theory, and another group, the Kerosene Kites. But The Mascot Theory being the main band, I started writing songs that I just assumed were going to be an album with those fellas. But when the quarantine hit and everything looked like it was getting locked down, and I sort of started making these demos for a few of these songs that were kind of a little more glorified, a little bit, let me try to add drums to this, and let me try to add a bass line, and all these, just learning how to use the software to do everything on my own. And that sort of helped and forced me to just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna release an album. I had started doing the Facebook live stream thing on Wednesday nights, and around similar time when this contest started. And I kept it going because I guess I had nothing else to do, and a lot of fans and a lot of family were just like expecting, hey, we'll see you on Wednesday, and like, oh, well, I guess we'll keep it going. But for me, it's always
my Venmo site.
yeah. But my biggest issue though is that I'm because I'm not a solo artist. I don't prefer to play just by myself. So I was trying to find out how can I work with other people, even though this was a solo album and 99% of it was all me. How can I take these songs and work with other people? And it wasn't just those songs. There were some Mascot Theory songs and cover songs. And I just started with these live streams, trying to find a way to do something more than just, here's a microphone, here's a video, and here's me for an hour. I don't find that interesting to me. And maybe people would be fine with that. But to me, I was like, I got to find a way to work with other people, being not a solo artist. I love to have other people. I love to sing with other people, with harmonies and such. So that was the main thing behind all these videos that I ended up doing. I think I did 18 different videos with songs from all the songs from the solo album, those 4 songs, including Comatose at 233, and then some Mascot songs and some cover songs. And it was just trying to figure out how to get who's got good enough recording equipment at their house. And that kind of changed over time. Like, oh, my drummer figured out how to put some stuff down in his basement. Great. You're on the next few videos. And my friend out in LA, Madison WI, we did a cover song. She's an amazing piano player, amazing singer. So I was just trying to figure out how to work with people when you're not able to in person.
So obviously you had the song, and then you were thinking about doing it and enlisted all your help. Were they the members of Mascot Theory? And I have to ask, the person with the mask, isn't that you?
Yeah.
I figured you're just kind of hiding yourself.
Well, that was a time when my drummer didn't have access to record anything. So I think on that video, I can't even remember because I did so many videos. I think if there was a bass player on it, then it would be my bass player from Mascot Theory would have been in. At the time, my drummer didn't have any way to record, so I grabbed my congas and created Conga Cat with, I don't know if you can see them way back there. Those are the masks. I made those a couple years ago, these paper mache or paper folded origami masks that eventually I was like, I'll make a music video out of them someday, not thinking much about it. But it was kind of the perfect way. Well, okay, no one else is here. I'll just slap this on. And I had 4 different animals. So I had a cat, and I might have even had another one in that video. I don't remember. But yeah, it was just kind of, and then I think Shondell Marks, I believe keyboard was on that song.
Yeah, there was a woman on the keyboard.
Yeah, so she's a member of kind of the expanded Mascot Theory family. Whenever we have big shows, she'll sit in with us. She's an incredible singer-songwriter, solo artist, and she also plays in my other group, Kerosene Kites. That is a band that I have with Beth Killey, a Madison singer-songwriter, and it's a duo project, but we've expanded over the years to bigger shows, and Shawnee sat in with us on a bunch of those. So again, it was just, who of my friends can I call on and pester in this time that maybe they have nothing going on, maybe they need a little something musically speaking when the rest of the world is going great.
So most of it was a video they were listening to you on, and you would splice it together with, I'm going to guess, an Adobe product called, I've been told that, like, not Illustrator. It's an Adobe product, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So I'm a graphic designer, so I have the whole Adobe suite. So yeah, okay. So I've got that particular program is Premiere, Adobe Premiere.
That's it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so that was one of the other things. It was just like, okay, I've got this creativity in songwriting. I'm a designer, so I can do that stuff. And videos has always been a thing I've wanted to even push myself to learn because I had the software anyway. Yeah. So it was exactly that. Just I'd record myself doing my part and then send it off to people and hope they've got good enough technology to do their part and send it back. And then I kind of piece it all together.
Yeah, I've done some off-site recording on just MP3 side and put it together with GarageBand. And ah, it's got to take time to put it together with Premiere. It's got to be a little time consuming, no matter.
It is, and that's kind of the thing that made these. You know, you would think a live stream thing once a week, a 1 hour show. Again, if I'm just sitting in front of a microphone and a video, probably not that much preparation other than to rehearse. So I'm not horrible at it. But as I kept doing these and kept getting a little bit bored in the standard and decided to open it up to these videos, yeah, they took forever. It was a week-long process. But my wife is a hairstylist, and you know, she was shut down by the state at that time for about a 10-week period. So we were literally had nothing going on at the house and no income at that moment, other than a couple of the little design stuff that I had, projects that I had. But so this became kind of like, all right, this is an income, because there were a lot of generous people that we put up the little tip jar and people would tip. And that was really kind, generous of folks to do that. And so we kind of took it as this is our family project. So even as the weeks had gone by, I started forcing my kids to get involved. So in some of these streams, I had my daughter is a great singer. She's 12, and she's done the girls rock camp and some of those things. So she's kind of into music and singing and stuff. So I made her do a couple videos with me and do some live songs with me on the live streams, and then got my boys involved by doing joke of the day and a movie review from those. They weren't interested in the music part. Then we also had the theme song that I did every week for the entire live stream. And eventually I recorded a version of that where I had fans at home send me their videos of themselves singing along. And then in Premiere, which was way harder than anything I've ever done, pieced together 60 different people, audio first, singing, and then all their little iPhone videos and stuff. That took a long time, but it was amazing. It was a great way to wrap up. I think I released it on the very last live stream that I did back in early June. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll pass on buying the Premiere software just to avoid, challenges like that.
If I wouldn't have bought it, but since it's already part of my package of design software anyway, I keep finding these new pieces of Adobe. I'm like, oh, I guess I already have access to it. So
Yeah,
makes it.
when I upgraded something, I was upgrading my Photoshop, and I think I ended up with the Premiere Rush Lite or something as a taster, and I played with it a little, and then it said, well, you can't do this unless you buy the package. I'm just going to stick to iMovie because I understand it.
It's, I mean, that's the software. It's just like GarageBand, and those things are made so that you don't have to dive too deep. If you have an idea what you want, as long as you're not too picky on getting real customized with stuff, those work great.
While we're still talking about the band and everything, WAMI Awards. You won it for yourself, and believe the Mascot Theory was up for some awards or something.
Yeah, I won Male Vocalist of the Year in 2017, which was super surprising to me because I didn't really know much about the WAMIs. In Madison, we have the Madison Area Music Awards, Music Association Awards, and I'm very involved with that. And we had won a lot of those. And actually, the year that I won the WAMI, I was actually performing at the Mamas with the Mascot Theory. We had just won a couple awards that year. And so they asked us to perform. So I had to send my friend down to the WAMIs. I think that was in Milwaukee. And so he attended that for me. And he picked, and I had no expectation I don't even know how I got nominated for that. I don't have any idea how I won that at all. I didn't know a lot of the WAMIs inner workings, or I think they're kind of more Milwaukee / Appleton, Fox Valley centric.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Being over in LaCrosse, some of the musicians I talk to say, don't have a lot of good things to say about the WAMI because they're not entire Wisconsin. But I would give you credit. They picked you from Madison, so that's
cool. It was awesome. It's super inspiring, and just unknown that would even come. And then since then, we haven't won anymore, but we've been nominated including this year, which of course everything has shifted back. Yeah. I don't even know when the WAMIs are this year, but I know that they had put out the nominations. I think the Mascot Theory is up for, I'm assuming, Americana Band. I put together a project. I didn't do it this year, but the last 3 years, called Wisconsin Vinyl Collective, where I grabbed songs, brand new songs or new recordings from artists across Wisconsin, put out a vinyl album, raised money for the Keep Wisconsin Warm Fund. So I'd done that for the last 3 years, and that album is actually up for Album of the Year this year, which is pretty crazy. So
Yeah, well, that's a great project.
yeah.
You'll have to send me a link to it. Is it still available?
I have copies still. I mean, it's a record store day kind of exclusive sort of. So that usually came out. That's always in like the mid-April, something like that. So we always released it with anywhere from 1 to 3 events depending on the year. So I think the last year that we did it, 2019, we ended up having events in Milwaukee, Madison, and Appleton. So we had a whole weekend of release shows with performances, and then the album would come out, and then we'd sell a bunch through Record Store Day. And then I've got them online too for the surplus stuff. But this year we actually decided not to do it, and it kind of worked out because there was no Record Store Day anyway this year. So, or it's sort of spread out.
This year, you can throw everything out of the book for this year.
That's about right.
That's about right. Except for our songwriting contest. And I got a chance to meet you, Eric.
It's very cool.
And other new people that I've just never imagined, in January that I would be talking to people from Spain, Madison, Houston, Los Angeles, Boston. It's been a fun process. We haven't talked much about songwriting. You did mention how you wrote 233. Are you a religious planner of your songwriting skills? Is it something that you do when the muse talks to you?
It used to be, so up until October of last year, I was a full-time graphic designer at a print shop down in Madison, downtown Madison. And I kind of done part-time a little bit too as my show load started getting a little higher with the Mascot Theory in the summers. But up until October, I was kind of full-time. So, and then I had the kids. So it was a lot of what I call concentrated songwriting times where I knew, okay, I have this 2-hour window before the kids get home or whatever. And I sit down and I do what I can in that 2 hour. And I'm usually pretty efficient in those short periods of time. But usually what would happen is I would write something in the span of a band album process. So we would try to come out with an album every 2 years. So I was always trying to have 10 to 12 songs every 2 years, be ready so that when the album comes out, I've got some for the next one to hit the studio with.
And you're the writer within Mascot Theory?
Yeah, for the Mascot Theory, it's all my songs. And then I do co-writing with Beth Killey for the Kerosene Kites. So that's kind of my songwriting partner for non-Mascot Theory stuff. And actually, one of the songs on the solo album, the EP that I put out during quarantine, is actually a song I wrote with my friend Gabe Redulis down in Nashville probably 6 years ago. So it was this song that he and I wrote, and I just never had a reason to put it out. It wasn't a Mascot Theory song. And a lot of the songs that he and I wrote went to his albums that he had been putting out as a solo artist. So I just never really used anything. So I'm like, this could be the perfect time to start working up a demo of some random song that he and I wrote years ago. It's called Scared to Life. And
well, I think you submitted that one. Because
I did. And that was Gabe in that video. So he and I are really, really good friends. And like I said, most of the songs end up being on his albums that we write together. But this one just kind of never made it onto any of his albums. And I always liked it. And it seemed like the perfect time to try it out. So.
Well, some people might say that you're not 100% on a folky side for a folk fest. But our song in our artist selection has always been wide open. And when it comes to singer-songwriters, you all your stuff that you submitted fit the mold perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I would agree too. I think with the Mascot Theory, we call ourselves folk rock. We started off doing acoustic stuff, and it was always 4-person, full band, but it was acoustic. Us playing coffee houses and wineries, and most of our focus on the songs were the harmonies. I'd write these songs, and then I'd just say, okay, everybody's got to sing on them, and for sure, a high harmony on there, and I'm fine with it throughout the whole song if that works on some songs. but that was my big thing. And that was certainly more on the folky side. But as we sort of developed into kind of really a festival band, where we started playing, Summerfest and some of these bigger shows, outdoor shows, we started boosting. Okay, now we can have our drummer, instead of just playing a cajon drum, he can play a full kit, for these gigs. And we just started boosting up to more of an electric band. But then we always sort of had the opportunity to take these songs and they could fit whatever. If we're doing an acoustic show, we played them that way. And I literally, as the acoustic guitar player and the singer, I don't do anything different. So I just play them how I play them. It's usually down to the drummer.
Perfect for you, yeah.
It's like, you guys figure it out. In fact, we just did. I haven't played with the band since March 8th or 6th or something like that. We haven't played together, seen each other really, and we just got together last weekend and recorded in the Mineral Point Opera House, which is my hometown. And they obviously haven't had music and probably won't have music anytime soon. So they asked if I would figure out a way to do some sort of fundraiser for them through a live stream, which I had been doing at the time when they asked me. And so we kind of expanded that idea, and eventually things got a little safer. We were able to kind of socially distant, get the band all together on the stage. We got a film crew, minimal film crew, and an audio crew, and we recorded the whole thing. So that was actually really funny. And my drummer shows up and he's bringing in his full kit. And I'm like, no, we're not playing, we're doing acoustic. So he was the only one that had to change. And I'm like, and he's like, great. All I got to do is get my cajon drum, and he's set up. And so he was actually super happy about it. But we had zero prep difference between, it's just whatever he shows up with. And we don't really play any different. So
being from Madison, have you gotten over to LaCrosse? Played any gigs over here?
I have literally not played LaCrosse since my college years. I played at a place called Terrapin Station. Is that even still around? It's kind of around the corner from the main drag area, where I know there was a Pearl Street pub, maybe?
Yeah, I think I know where you're at, but it isn't around. It may have a different name now.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably 2004, something like that. I mean, a long time ago. So I have not been up there in a long time.
I've been here for a while. The music has gotten better. When I first moved over here 35 years ago, I would think of it only as cover bands, and now I think there's some really good valuable music that's being played, and good bands too. Americana stuff.
Yeah.
Swing bands.
There's some bands in Madison that I know make their way up there. The Popcorn Tavern, is that a place up there?
Tavern will finally reopen after this pandemic. It was one of those classic dive bars that had great evening music. Root Note is a good acoustic place, and yeah. So I was just kind of curious if you ever played LaCrosse. So
would love to
know it.
Yeah, we actually had a show like kind of in the area, Sparta, up in that area. We had a show booked for that this summer that went away, and we were kind of making our way that way. Most of our stuff was kind of the other side of the state, up to Appleton, is kind of with the Mile of Music Festival, and I've worked with them with this vinyl album show, and so I've worked with them, and we've gone up there a lot during the year. It's usually Appleton or the Madison area with all Verona and all those.
You also put on your calendar to look into the Midwest Music Fest. That's a fest that takes on kind of the similar vein as Mile of Music or South by Southwest, and it's got a event in Winona, and they've started up one in LaCrosse too. So
I'm pretty sure I've heard of it. I think I actually saw a poster. We played in Viroqua at Driftless Books.
Oh.
Very cool place. So that's about as close as we've gotten to you guys, other than we have gone to Minnesota. But
was that Mascot Theory, or was that a strip down?
Yeah, we did an acoustic set there. It was that's such a crazy, awesome, weird place. It's just so bizarre. It was so much fun.
And the funniest story I ever remembered there is going to one in, it was like mid-November, and it has no heat. So so the musicians were probably the most struggling because their fingers are cold on there.
Yeah.
But
That would be tough. I actually played in, so with Beth Killey, the Kerosene Kites thing, we started as we started writing songs, and then we started writing Christmas songs for some reason. So we're actually more of a Christmas time band. We sort of
Really?
became this duo that just played at Christmas. The Mascot Theory and her band sort of stopped playing around December, as the winter started coming. So she and I started doing duo shows. And we played some event downtown Madison. I think that literally when they turn all the lights on downtown, Shine On Madison, I think they call it. And it was like November 16th or 17th or something. And it was 20 degrees outside, and we were playing out for 2 hours, 2 sets. That was the coldest show I've ever played in my life. And it was bizarre and weird. We all had like tons of clothes on and cut off finger gloves and stuff. But I had a blast. It was such a weird show. It was just so fun. I don't know why. I don't ever really want to do it again, but I just remember that being like, it's a memorable show. Of all the shows, and I've done a lot, that's one. I don't know that I need to play a cold show again, though. That was rough. I don't know if the musicianship, I'm sure that wasn't top notch, but it was Christmas songs and Santa Claus was there. That's fine.
During Christmas, who cares?
That's right.
Well, that's all the questions I had for you today, Erik. It's just fantastic that you're part of the finalists.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
A really great group of 12 people. Yeah, I've said before in different conversations is you can have a festival based on these 12 finalists. It's like
that's awesome.
Such an incredible mix of people. So.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you for having a reason, to work on music and another outlet to throw it out there when there's nothing else going on in the outside world. It's great to have a reason.
You caught the procedure for the finals because you already sent me the Monterey thing, so we're in great shape.
Yeah, I figured I should do a song with just me on it for once. I had all these other songs with all my friends, and I'm like, I got to start doing maybe some songs where it's just me, which is my least favorite way to play, but I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do it.
It's nice to have the variety, and you can't beat harmonies. Like you said.
Oh, that's my hard thing is I just love them so much. Even having another person, even if it's just one, it's my favorite. It's always my favorite. It's who I want to play with, and it's always somebody who can sing. So
cool. Well, unless you have any other questions, I think we'll call it a wrap.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye.